G'day my TVI family, let me take your brain to another dimension. This is ROO, and today I want to talk to you about the importance of belief systems in regards to traumatic brain injury healing. Not only brain injury healing, but being successful in life, in anything. Whether it's losing weight, putting on muscle, surfing, business, relationships, you need to have a solid belief system. Nobody really goes into detail in regards to traumatic brain injury niche and connecting the dots that you need to have belief systems. Because in order to get the well-meaning, and it is good advice by occupational therapists, speech, psychology, etc., etc., you need to have an adequate belief system to even apply what they're teaching you. Even if it's the best process in the world, you need to have an adequate belief system, and you need to have an identity and mindset to be able to do that. Without a belief system, you're not going to heal. So if you've got shitty belief systems, it's going to be so much harder the way you look at your healing. And let me tell you from first-hand experience, I didn't have the best belief systems before my accident, before my traumatic brain injury, right? I was always gun shy. I didn't have faith in myself. I didn't value myself. I didn't have confidence in myself. However, I displayed like I did because I'm really good at hiding shit, very great chameleon. But I didn't have belief systems that served me. That's why, look, I'm a big, huge dreamer. And always rattling off dreams and really sick business ideas or what I wanted to do. And then when I started to implement those and bring it into my reality, I would crash and burn and cave and drop it really quickly within the first month, even a couple of weeks, even a day, if I got the slightest bit of pressure against me, because I didn't have those belief systems to carry me through those walls, okay? So now, 14 plus years, I'm the most consistent. I have the highest belief system that I've ever had in my life. I value myself to the point where some people mistake it for arrogance. And I'm not here to fucking argue with you. If that's what you think, if people want to think that, they can think that. I don't have the time to fuck around and prove shit. I know who I am. I know I'm a good bloke. I know I love people. However, I have a short fuse dealing with people, and I don't invest my energy unless it's coming back to me. And that comes off pretty arrogant. The more and more I go through it, a lot of people view me as arrogant. I don't have time to fuck around. I've lost 14 plus years. But I went through a period when I didn't even realize that belief systems played such an instrumental role in the beginning of my healing. And it was like I subconsciously went through this looking at my belief systems and tearing them down one by one. And I'm talking going back all the way to my youth, 6 years old, when I was a kid, you know, and 4 years old actually, and all the shit that happened from there. And then why did I develop certain belief systems, you know? Looked at my religion. I was brought up Catholic, and then I started developing some critical thinking, and then I'm looking at it and going, you've got a church full of pedophiles, and you've got the richest motherfuckers on earth, and yet they're not really helping the poor people. And you've got priests molesting and raping kids. It's fucking disgusting. And then I'm feeling guilty about getting divorced from my wife because of this Catholic guilt. Catholics out there, cool. Look, I'm just talking from my perspective. This is what I believe. You're entitled to what you believe. And I'm not going to bamboozle you and tell you have to believe like me. Everything is individual. But I'm just using that as an example. And then also I dropped out of school in year 12, like the first semester. And then I went back as a mature age in Melbourne, and I did like 4 to 5 subjects, from accounting, marketing to international law to drafting, and I just not into school. But yet I thought that I needed to go get that degree to become quote unquote successful. And yes, for many years I struggled with quote unquote being successful because I was working jobs that if I had a degree I'd probably be making more money. However, now looking back, I can see that was the best route for me because I learnt all these little nuances to life. Right? They aided me in my belief systems when I was going through and figuring out what belief systems served me. And it was trial and error, and it was long, it was arduous, and it was soul-sucking, and it was, fuck, you just want to sit and cry and fucking give up. Because it's like you're under a microscope, and I already felt under a microscope in terms of dealing with everybody else. All of a sudden, all my fucking negative traits were out publicly everywhere. Oh, Hamish, he was like this, he's like this, he can't hold it together. He's a bit... And then not only that, I had a examination of myself under the microscope. Not from other people, but from myself, which is way more intense. But you have to go walk through that fire to get to the other side. And I didn't know any of this shit that I'm articulating right now. This is all 14 plus years later that I'm able to sit back and rewind and go through my head and say, oh, that's what I was doing. So you guys are lucky that you have somebody that's gone and walked through the fire and still walking through the tail end of the fire that can illuminate the path for you and go into detail. Because you know what? This information is not out there in the traumatic brain injury niche. And if it is, it doesn't go into great detail. And for sure, it's not fucking done by somebody with an actual traumatic brain injury. So that's where my value is. And that's where I highly suggest you really listen to me with an open mind. You may not like my delivery. You may not like my fucking swearing. You may not like my directness. But the truth is unfiltered, guys. Like I keep saying, I would be doing you a big disservice if I came on here and just glossed over shit, not even mentioned stuff, and not even went into detail about stuff that you really need to do to implement healing in your life. And this is not just traumatic brain injury, this is for everything. This is for caretakers looking after your loved one with a traumatic brain injury. This is you just basically looking at life, looking at your health, looking at your business, looking at your children, looking at your family, looking at your mates. Everything comes down to belief system. I had to figure this out through trial and error, through jumping niches and going into the personal development niche and stumbling on and studying high achievers from sports, acting, music, business, family, surfing. And there's a common thread amongst all these high achievers, and belief system is one of them. And you cannot heal without a solid belief system. And I tell you what, it's a process of building up your belief system. You're not going to come and all of a sudden have a magical belief system and that's it. No, it's a process of building, and you get to one level, then you plateau, and then you fucking build up to the next level. That's the truth, guys. not this 1, 2, 3 steps. I can't and I will not lead you down that path. Because it cost me 14 plus years of fucking around and dicking around with dickheads telling me that all I had to do was X, Y, and Z and that's it. Leaving out all the major components to what I was learning. So, I won't do that. And I think you should really be listening to what I have to say. And I stand by what I'm saying because I came from a 3 out of 16 Glasgow scale. Pretty much fucking dead on arrival. I came from oblivion. My social circle, my whole life, forget what just my social, my whole life and every bit of that life was just rubble. Dating, women, business, making money, family, physical body, mental, surfing, how I interacted with the world, how the fuck I interacted with me. Everything was pure rubble. So I know what I'm talking about here, guys. I'm not this PhD fucking psychology student that is all theoretical and hasn't done a lick of fucking practical shit. Sitting there with their fucking 6-figure bullshit, spouting off fucking theoretical advice. I'm not that person. As you can tell by my creative way I articulate what I'm articulating. No disrespect to those people, they have their place. But when you're looking at traumatic brain injury healing, you should go to the motherfucking source. And as arrogant as it sounds, I'm the motherfucking source. And not only that, there are other people like like me out there. Excuse me. However, just from my own research and what I've heard back from people, there's not many of us out there dispelling the information. And I can't blame them, because quite frankly, sometimes I feel like I'd fucking like to do anything other than drag on and on about my brain injury. I'd like to surf. I'd like to travel. Well, I can't do any of that shit now because we're just come out of lockdown, but we're still restricted. Anyhow, guys, you really need to have to look at belief systems. Forget I'm not saying forget about the technical occupational therapists telling you processes and what to do with your psychologist. I'm telling you, you need a belief system and you need an identity and you need some mindset to be able to take on that advice. And I'm not saying that advice is bad. There's some really good gold in there. But how can you take that advice on if you don't have the basic belief systems? That's all I'm saying. How can you take that advice on if you don't have the identity of somebody that has healed already before the physical healing or the mental healing? Because if you want a shortcut, and I use this term loosely because I don't want to sell you on a false dream. However, knowing this stuff will shortcut your healing. However, that being said, this is a fucking pretty much a lifelong process. But you're going to cut out the fat implementing what I'm talking about on ROO I Am. So have a think about it, guys. Think about your beliefs, because, you know, they say every brain injury, traumatic brain injury, well, let's just brain injury, is different. No one explains why the brain injuries are different. No one I've ever come across has been able to explain it to me. not in the medical field, not in a TBI niche. I had to figure it out. And I'm telling you now, if, let's just say we shared the same brain injury, we got hit on the same part of the brain, we exhibit the same deficits such as memory, anger, the inability to plan or organize, the inability to articulate, for instance. Let's just use those 4 deficits. Even though we share those 4 deficits, each of us will exhibit those deficits differently. Why is that? I'll tell you why. You grew up the way you grew up. I grew up the way I grew up. You were born of a certain race or a mixed race, such as myself. You had different experiences. I had different experiences. You had different belief systems. I had different belief systems. You had different friends. I had different friends. You had a different way of looking at life. I had a different way of looking at life. You had a different education. I had different education. You might have been higher on the totem pole financially than I was, or vice versa. You could have politically leaned in one direction as I politically leaned in the other direction. You had a different religion. I had a different religion. This is why every traumatic brain injury is different. And I wish this was explained, because it would have cut the fat out of my own learning, because I had processed for many years trying to figure this out. And I'm telling you guys, that is why we're all different. So, in saying that, I can't tell you exactly how to heal. I can only give you the components. It is your job, it is your responsibility, it is always your job, and it is always your responsibility to apply it to yourself. And you need to develop the trust, and you need to develop the knowing that you're smart enough to apply those principles, those components, to your own story, to your own self. And this is my whole intention of ROO I Am. I will not get on my fucking high horse, and I've said it a couple times, a variety of different things, but I won't get on my fucking high horse and tell you this is the exact way to heal. You need to listen, you need to do this. No, that's bullshit. The components I'm giving you, spot on, perfect, I believe in that. Hands down. You need to take that and you need to be able to apply it to yourself. Now, your choice. You're going to abdicate it to someone else? You want to be a lazy motherfucker and don't get offended because, mate, I abdicated a lot of shit. I fucking wanted everyone else to do it. I was just so overwhelmed. But it ultimately comes down to you. You need to have, hopefully your loved ones can help you to a certain point, and then you need to be able to take over. Or you need to just grit it and figure it out. But it's ultimately up to you. That's the self-love and the self-trust in yourself, which is another component, which I'll drop another video on. Guys, I hope this has helped you being rude. This is TBI Victory. This is ROO I Am. Please like, share. Please subscribe, because what it does if you do either like, share, subscribe, plays around with the algorithms and it gets this video out to the people who need it. And there are a lot of people that need it. Excuse me. And a lot of families that need to see this. And a lot of people even without brain injuries, because I go into depth about brain injuries, because I use that as an example because it's a real example. But you need to have the ability to take these components and apply to your own life, regardless of whether you have a traumatic brain injury or not, because they're pretty standard components, very standard. I'm just giving examples of my traumatic brain injury. Guys, and drop me a comment, please, and let's talk about this belief system. I love you guys. Like I said, you've been rude. I'll check you next time.